Thank you, Mr Speaker. Two questions for the Leader of the House this week. The first is, when can we expect the Government to bring forward proposals to scrap the English Votes for English Laws procedure, which is now an embarrassment to this Parliament and everyone in it? I ask because this week we had the outrageous spectacle of Scottish members of Parliament being denied the opportunity to participate at committee stage in legislation which would have a direct and material effect upon the people that they represent. The NHS funding bill will have an effect on the Scottish Block Grant. It will therefore have an effect on the money available for my constituents. And much as the Government may try and laugh this off, this is actually a very serious matter that should be of concern to anyone who calls themselves a Democrat. My second question relates again to the Scottish claim of right. When I last asked the Leader of the House on this question, when he would bring forward legislation so that the Government might recognise and deal with the fact that it does not have a mandate in Scotland, he gave me a rather flippant response. In order to understand the Government's motivation, can I ask him again, does he agree with the concept of the claim of right for Scotland, and does he agree that it is something that continues to exist after the 18th of September 2014? And I ask this because, Mr Speaker, not once, not twice, but 3 times since we last discussed it, there have been opinion polls published in Scotland which give an indication to the thinking of people in that country. And in every single one of them, there is now a majority of people who wish Scotland to become an independent country. And I congratulate the Government, because that rise in public opinion for independence is entirely its responsibility and entirely its contribution. When we get started in our campaign, I can assure you that that figure will rise even better. So if the Government really wants to do something about the integrity of the Union, surely it's time for it to recognise the different situation which pertains in Scotland.
Mr Speaker, with regard to the English Votes for English Laws issue, I would remind the honourable gentleman that his party did not oppose the programme motion that was the one that led to there not being a report stage, at which point it would have been possible to move amendments. However, I would also say that all standing orders of this House are considered and are open to discussion through the Procedure Committee, and that a new Procedure Committee has been established, or is in the process of being established. Chairman's been elected, and though it would not be for me to tell the Procedure Committee what its business ought to be, it may well be something that that committee would like to look at. As regards to the Scottish claim of right, the decision was made in 2014. The right was debated, the vote was held, and the SNP lost. Now, sometimes it is hard to accept a defeat, but that is what happened. The people of Scotland voted to remain in the United Kingdom. And dare I say, Mr Speaker, that I note that on the first opposition day offered to the SNP, do they go for the subject that they raise all the time? Do they go for the subject that comes up at business questions week after week, constantly wanting to discuss it? When they get their half day, do they decide to debate the claim of right? No, Mr Speaker. They think of something else.